One of the traits I most deplore in comedians, in comedy, is, and in particular with this like kind of bro podcast culture, it's the sort of detached, like amoral, nihilistic, like contrived objectivity that these people seem to think like elevates them as comedians, like that as a comedian that they're above like taking a moral position on anything, that they're above being earnest in any way, and they fail to realize that to be neutral or to be objective and extremely clever in a world where that is so rigged and that is so unequal, that isn't really being objective and it isn't really being neutral. I was reminded a little bit about this week in light of the tragic news of Jason Arday's death, and I had come across a podcast where two male comedians were covering the story and taking the piss out of the whole thing and going through all of the hilarious, all the hilarious like lies that he told, and just geniusly riffing on this guy who was also being torn to shreds by the far right. What I find funny is that these comedians and cultural commentators, it is wider than comedy, that they think that they're so independent-minded, but all they're doing is chasing the algorithm, chasing clicks. They're covering stories that they know will get traction and engagement, and they do it under the guise of like being these detached, objective observers. Like, he lied, it's fair game. But if you're not smart enough to notice that out of the hundreds of people who came before Jason Arday that may have plagiarized or done much worse, by the way, including sexual misconduct and sexual assault, if you fail to notice that there isn't 200 articles in the right-wing press about any of those individuals, and if you fail to ask yourself why that might be, and if perhaps this might be about more than just plagiarism, I suppose I would just pause and ask myself, am I tailing the right-wing media and the far right online? Am I allowing myself to be manipulated? Because as an independent thinker, I'm sure that you wouldn't want that, right? While I'm sure that the life and career that you enjoy has been earned completely on merit, and that there were definitely no systemic advantages that may have contributed to getting you to where you are, maybe just take a pause and ask yourself, have I got something valuable to contribute? And if not, it might be worth just enjoying the advantages you have and just shutting the fuck up. Just a thought.